Not every battle deserves your voice, your energy, or your reaction. And once you realize that, your life becomes quieter, clearer, and stronger. Most people are not tired because life is difficult. They are tired because they keep fighting conflicts that were never meant for them, arguments that go nowhere, emotional tension that drains but never resolves. Detachment is not weakness, silence is not surrender, and walking away is not losing, it is awareness. And until this becomes clear, unnecessary conflict will continue to steal your peace while offering nothing in return. Unnecessary conflict survives because people confuse engagement with importance. They assume that if something triggers emotion, it must require a response. But emotional activation is not a signal of truth. It is often a signal of insecurity, manipulation, or unresolved pain. Conflict pulls attention by design. It feeds on reaction. When you respond impulsively, you reinforce its power. Detachment begins when you stop asking how to respond and start asking whether this deserves access to you at all. That question alone removes most distractions. Many conflicts are not about resolution, they are about control. People argue to feel dominant, validated, or heard, not to understand. When you engage with someone who is not seeking clarity, the exchange becomes circular. Nothing is resolved, nothing changes. Only energy is spent. Detachment is the moment you recognize patterns instead of words. You stop reacting to tone, accusations, or emotional bait, and begin responding only to substance, or choosing silence when substance is absent. Detachment feels difficult at first because the ego associates disengagement with loss. It wants to be right. It wants to defend identity, pride, or reputation. But peace does not come from winning arguments. It comes from not needing to win them. When you detach from unnecessary conflict, you are not avoiding truth. You are refusing distraction. You are choosing inner stability over external validation. That choice quietly changes how you move through the world. Unnecessary conflict thrives where boundaries are weak. When people know they can provoke you, they will. When emotions are easily accessible, they will be tested. Detachment is not coldness, it is containment. It is knowing where your responsibility ends and where someone else's begins. As your nervous system becomes more grounded, reactivity fades. Conflict loses its grip when it no longer finds emotional fuel. Detachment is not about becoming distant from life. It is about becoming selective with energy, selective with words, selective with what enters your inner space. Unnecessary conflict only survives where awareness is absent. When awareness arrives, the urge to engage fades. What replaces it is self-control, clarity, and quiet authority. Unnecessary conflict often begins long before words are spoken. It starts in unresolved insecurity, unexpressed frustration, or emotional instability. When people cannot regulate internally, they seek friction externally. Provoking conflict becomes a way to release tension. This is why some arguments feel sudden or disproportionate. They were never about the moment. Detachment is recognizing that you are being invited into a dynamic that existed before you arrived. Many people use conflict as a mirror, not a conversation. They project their internal chaos outward, hoping someone else will carry it for them. Accusations, sarcasm, and emotional pressure are tools designed to pull you into their storm. When you react, you validate the projection. Detachment interrupts this transfer. By remaining grounded, you refuse to carry emotions that do not belong to you. Emotional hooks are subtle. A tone, a loaded comment, a disguised insult. These hooks are designed to trigger defense or anger. Once triggered, clarity disappears and reaction takes over. Detachment is the pause that breaks the hook. That pause protects your nervous system and keeps your response intentional. It is not passive, it is powerful. Conflict drains energy because it activates the stress response. Breathing tightens, muscles brace. Even short exchanges can leave you depleted. Detachment prevents unnecessary activation. Over time, the body learns that not every stimulus requires a response. Calm becomes your default instead of something you chase. Many struggle with detachment because they fear being misunderstood. They worry silence will be seen as weakness. But clarity does not require constant explanation. Those committed to misunderstanding you will do so regardless. Detachment recognizes when communication is no longer productive. Silence becomes discernment, not avoidance. Detachment builds self-respect at a deep level. Each time you choose not to engage, you reinforce the belief that your peace matters. You stop defining yourself by defense or reaction and begin defining yourself by stability. Self-respect grows when reactions become intentional rather than automatic. Inner authority is quiet. It does not argue for space. It occupies it. When you detach, your presence changes. People sense that you are not easily provoked or shaken. Boundaries are felt without being announced. Detachment communicates strength without force. Detachment does not make you cold. It preserves emotional energy so you can engage fully where it matters. When you stop wasting energy on meaningless tension, you become more patient, more present, and more compassionate in meaningful connections. Emotional consistency develops. Your mood stops depending on others' behavior. You no longer ride emotional highs and lows created by external triggers. Stability builds trust in yourself and in how others experience you. Detachment refines rather than withdraws. As self-respect deepens, the need to react fades. Inner authority grows. What once demanded attention begins to feel distant and small. Detachment exposes relationship dynamics. When you stop reacting, patterns surface. Some people adjust. Others become uncomfortable. This is not loss, it is clarity. Detachment filters who values connection and who relied on conflict. Power dynamics shift quietly. Those used to provoking reactions may escalate at first. When no reaction comes, the behavior loses momentum. Conflict collapses without participation. Manipulation becomes easier to see. Guilt, urgency, and blame lose their power. Detachment creates choice. You address what is real and disengage from what is performative. In healthy relationships, detachment increases respect. Boundaries create safety. Communication becomes intentional rather than emotional. You model regulation instead of demanding it. Detachment does not tolerate disrespect, refuses to negotiate peace through struggle. You can speak truth or walk away without anger or explanation. Not every connection is meant to remain at the same depth. Some fade when old dynamics are no longer fed. This is not failure, it is evolution. Detachment feels uncomfortable because it removes familiar patterns. Even conflict can feel familiar. When quiet appears, the mind may mistake it for loss, even though peace is forming. Some resist detachment because they fear abandonment or invisibility, but detachment is presence without entanglement. You remain available without sacrificing yourself. Guilt often arises. Conditioning taught that availability means constant access. Detachment teaches that kindness does not require self-betrayal. Attention gained through conflict is not connection, it is consumption. Detachment changes how you are seen. Less reactive, more respected. Moving through discomfort requires patience. You notice the urge to react and let it pass. Each time, the nervous system learns a new response. The discomfort is not failure, it is release. Old patterns loosen, alignment settles in, detachment becomes relief. Detachment becomes a way of living when peace is protected naturally. You move differently without explanation. Awareness replaces effort. External noise loses control over your internal state. Conflict passes without residue. Clarity grows. Energy returns. Focus sharpens. Life feels lighter because you are no longer carrying what was never yours. Self-trust strengthens. You witness discomfort without absorbing it. You walk away without guilt. Detachment expands life. Deeper connections remain. Respect replaces reactivity. Detachment from unnecessary conflict is not about hardening yourself. It is about choosing peace without apology. You are not disengaging from life. You are engaging with it clearly. And when clarity leads, conflict no longer controls your direction. What remains is calm strength, steady awareness, and freedom.